We have more now with Nigeria's acting president about the insurgency that's endangering the major oil-producing region. Mr. Acting President, one of your big challenges as well is to try to re-energize the peace process, the amnesty process, in fact, your homeland, isn't it? The Niger Delta area. Exactly. So there was a whole system set in place, but it seems to be fraying, and there's a lot of concern, particularly given how vital it is as an oil-producing part of the world. What are you going to do about that?
Well, the amnesty process is on course. What happened is that people don't really understand the total concept of the amnesty. The amnesty is divided into 3 phases. The disarmament phase, that is the phase where militants surrender their weapons. Then rehabilitation phase and reintegration phase. Some of these militants have been in that armed struggle for a very long time. And when young people are involved in carrying weapons against the state for a very long time, there is the tendency for them to go into some forms of aberration in their behavior. Maybe take to excessive alcohol, or some of them may even take other things that go. So you have a process that you must follow. After the disarmament, the next is rehabilitation. You have to rehabilitate them. Then you have to properly integrate them into the society. So during the process of rehabilitation, you must reorientate their thinking and make them to learn some skills that will enable them earn a decent living through the proper reintegration process. But now we are trying to make the best. Up to this time, we have not gotten the kind of standard rehabilitation camps we were expecting. So, but now we want to treat them in batches. We have a special advisor on Niger Delta. Before, the Minister of Defense, who handled the disarmament, was also coordinating the rehabilitation. And that was giving us a lot of problems. But now we have removed the rehabilitation. The disarmament was a military exercise. So the Ministry of Defense has finished with that. So the case of rehabilitation and reintegration is now moved into the hands of the special advisor to the president on the Niger Delta. We have a good program. So for the first batch of trainees, about 1,600 or so, are going to move to their camps in the Cross River State by the 3rd week of April. So we have to do them in batches. The total number of militants that surrendered weapons are 20,191 or so, but at least a little more than 20,100 and something, either. So it's a lot of youth, and it's not easy to manage such a number of people.
What about Jos, which we just saw an explosion of violence there between Muslim and Christian? What can you do about that?
No. It's not a problem between Muslim and Christians. That is quite a wrong issue. I mean, the problem of Jos is they just occupy a plateau, quite a high land area in Nigeria. And that's an area where a number of people settle outside the indigenous population. In fact, even when Lagos was the federal capital territory, most Europeans who came to Nigeria then prefer to stay in Jos. Because of the elevation, the temperature is very low. It's like a sub-temperate climate, where the temperature sometimes could drop up to -2. No part of Nigeria that experienced that. No, Nigeria is a typical tropical country. But because of that climate, and the mining of tin and others started within that area. So there's a lot of settlers from the southeastern part of Nigeria, from the southwestern part of Nigeria, and from the extreme north. So most of these settlers now play big in the economy, a local economy. So the indigenous population feel that they have been excluded from the economy, and that has been bringing conflict from the early 60s.
But what can you do about it?
Of course, we have set up different... In terms of what we are doing, we are discussing with the traditional rulers, we are discussing with religious leaders, we are discussing with opinion leaders. That is to appeal to them, and they are responding. Of course, we are also providing security. Because first of all, you must provide adequate security to make sure that people don't carry weapons and intimidate or kill others. So that is being done. Then we are also appealing to their conscience, using their leaders, both the opinion leaders, both the religious leaders, both traditional leaders, and it is paying off.
It is paying off?
Yes.
You think that kind of violence will stop?
No, it is paying off. I cannot say it will stop completely, but our commitment is to make sure that it stops.
With issues like Jos or the Niger Delta, with the fact that, as you've mentioned yourself, there's a severe power and electricity crisis and all sorts of other issues, how do you make international investors feel confident? Even kidnappings there are, as you've said yourself, need to stop.
Yes, Nigeria is a very big country, and some of these issues people raise in the media that makes it look as if the whole country is red. It is not quite so. You have a lot of international investors in Nigeria as we are talking. Right. Even in the Niger Delta, you have the oil companies and oil services companies everywhere. Yes, we have these occasional issues of kidnapping, but it doesn't stop. But we are also strengthening the local security system, the police force. We are trying to set up a special fund to make sure that we strengthen the police to maintain law and order. In addition to making sure that we provide what the people need and appeal to different groups to see reason why there must be peace, we are also doing what we think is right to increase the security, because you must secure the area.
For a fascinating look at how Nigeria could be the Catholic Church's new frontier, it's growing faster in Africa than anywhere else in the world, visit Amanpour.com. And when we return, I'll ask Goodluck Jonathan about Nigeria's relations with the United States and the impact of the Christmas Day bombing plot when Nigerian Umar Abdul Muttalib allegedly tried to blow up a U.S. airliner. While he was in Washington, Goodluck Jonathan met U.S. President Barack Obama. I asked him about that meeting and whether nuclear terrorism or something else is the biggest threat to Africa. You've just had meetings with President Obama. What was the most important issue that you discussed? I know President Obama discussed many things, including the issue of a joint fight against terrorism. It was a Nigerian youth who tried to set himself and set a plane on fire over the United States.
Of course, that's an unfortunate incident, but I know you know more than me, because when that issue came up, it was a global issue, and everybody traced the history of the young man. This young man left Nigeria long ago, and he got indoctrinated in the West.
But do you nonetheless think it's an issue that has to be combated, terrorism?
Of course, Nigeria, you know that the Non-Proliferation Treaty, Nigeria was one of the countries that signed it. We believe that the whole globe must be peaceful. We cannot associate, cannot encourage that. Nigerians are not terrorists. We know the problems as African leader. We are suffering from the use of small arms and light weapons. In fact, in Africa, the use of small arms and light weapons is more devastating to us than even the issue of nuclear terrorism, because Africans have died from small arms and light weapons more than the nuclear terrorism, because most of these weapons used in the former Soviet Union are no longer relevant, and they have all been shipped into Africa. Most of the small arms and light weapons manufactured in America and other European countries are shipped down to Africa. And this is the cause of most of these crises we're having, this insecurity we're having. So we totally support.
You've got 12 months, essentially, to enact the reforms you're talking about, bring about the changes, whether it's to election law, whether it's to the issue of peace. How much do you really think you can achieve in this short period of time?
Yes, we'll do our best. Some of these things are human issues that you can achieve significantly, like we talk about electoral reforms and conducting clean elections. You don't need 100 years to do that. You don't even need a year to do that, because they are human factors. Under a few months, you should be able to set up a system that can conduct free and fair elections. But other things like basic infrastructure, that needs a period that you conceptualize it, a period of design, a period of planning, environmental assessment, and so on before the physical execution of the projects. Those ones will take some